Hi there, Friday afternoon. That's a good time for a talk on experience sharing in well planning, or how not to waste data from well planning. That's what we call it. I'm Magnus, I'm the CEO of prowellplan. All right, so here's a schematic. I've made it myself. It's about how we work when we plan. So when we plan wells, we start out with some corporate data of some sort. It might be final well reports. It might be uh, other data sets stored in databases easily or not so easily available for us. And what we do when we plan wells is that we look at multiple different scenarios. We have a case where we look at the slim well design. We have a new technology we're considering, that fracture in the reservoir. We're looking at this alternate trajectory. We have this deep set casing issue, the shallow gas well in place, and so on and so on and so on and so on. There's so many things we are looking at. And for each of them, we are recording or documenting with our own plans, such as a spreadsheet or a report or some specialist application we use. And we make multiple smaller plans for every step, everything we consider. And these are pretty easily available for us while we're working. So it's going okay while we are planning. Now this yellow box here, this is all the experience we are applying. This is what you and I, the engineers, are doing when we're planning. This is us thinking, discussing, walking around, reading other reports, coming to conclusions which we document in our studies. These gray boxes here are studies. Now, when we are done with the planning, we need to write a report. Our management loves reports. They want a report they can sign. They want a report they can file. And have a report they can forward to the next stage. Look, here is the result of the work we did in this stage. So what we have to do then is we have to simplify things, because you cannot put all these high detail level plans into the report. That will be a 100,000 page report. And who likes to read a 100,000 page report? Nobody. So we have to simplify things down to a 1 page or 10 page report, which somebody might actually read and sign. So we pick a few of the scenarios. The most important, those we agree on, are valid. The other ones, which weren't part of the final solution, they are not included in the report because there's not room for all of them. So we pick a few and we write about them. So here we write in the report, we write about the casing design, the expected geology, a couple of contingencies. But we leave out many things. So you don't mention that we looked at this new technology. You don't mention that we considered a shallow sidestep, or you don't write that we considered we ruled out the possibility of boulders, or how the hole opener would have saved just a fraction of time, so we ruled it out, or things like that. Those are not documented in the plan because it will just be too much to read for someone. You also do some simulations. We call it black box software because it's hard to obtain. If it wasn't you who made this, it's very hard to get access to the data, and it's very little transparency. So that's sort of what survives from the planning. There's some black box software where you store your calculations, and then there's this plan, which is a document. Now time passes, and you're looking back for experience transfer because you're planning a new well. And you want to see, hey, what did we do in that previous well? And you look at the plan, which is stored somewhere, so you find it, you have access to that. And then you might find one or two of these detailed plans, which were documented fairly well. And you have some personal memories, you can speak to people, but it's all sort of in a blurry sky, because I mean, if you look back at an Excel sheet that looked perfectly sane to you when you made it, and it was very useful because you had written in that you had shared it with the ones who needed insight to this. Everybody understood how it was made and the purpose of it. But when you look back a couple of years later, like, why did we do it that way? Nah, I don't think did we get the full picture? I'm not sure. We had that kind of thing at that time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it looks so blurry. It's very hard to pick up the experiences from what you were planning. So, and most of these events were only documented in Excel sheets or in presentations that you made or somebody else made. And then now they're gone. You cannot find them. and they're not documented well enough to be part of a bigger picture. It's just, yeah, there's an email thread, yeah, with a vendor, yeah, we were considering this packer, and then some back and forth about this packer, but you miss the big picture. You cannot see what the conclusion was, why were we looking for it. Well, maybe you can read that from an email thread, but a lot of the context is missing. So the value of this planning that went in, it's not there anymore. It all went into a blurry sky. The engineers learned a lot while they were planning, but you looking back at this, you struggle with finding all the information. And when we look at the data we are generating in well planning, I think that's an overlooked data source. So when you start discussing data from drilling, it's all about what is get generated from the rig. When we are drilling, it's the daily reportings, it's the bottom hole logs. But what the overlooked data is all the data that we generate when we are planning, and that's lost forever because we don't document it. We write Excel sheets and Word documents and PowerPoints and visual drawings, but nobody bothers making complex, detailed explanations of what we didn't do. And that's the lost value of well planning. So I think the goal for us in our industry is to be able to maintain the detail level from all the planning to make sure that the plans themselves, the work we do, survives. Not a report, not something that we make after we do the work. That's not what the important part for the future. The important part is that we're able to share what we're actually doing. Yes, I'm considering moving the bottom of this formation, the section up into this formation, or yes, we're trying to build angle here instead of there, or yes, we're looking at a slimmer design. And then store all the details of everything you did so that you can analyze how many other wells have we looked at the same. That's impossible to see if you didn't store everything. Where else did we have this problem, but it didn't end up being a part of the plan? And that's a lot of value which is being lost. So I'll make another movie another day on how we solve this, but I want people to start thinking about all the information which is lost in well planning when we do it the way we do today, and start thinking about what value would it make for you if you had a system which would make all this information available for you and store all the work you do. Now that's a Friday thought for you. Stop filming.